Avenir is a global career guidance event to empower students and assist them in identifying their ideal future career path. It was conceptualized by the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Sultanate of Oman. The first Avenir was organized at Indian School Al Mabala in the year 2018. In 2019, Indian School El Seeb conducted the program. Indian School Muscat conducted the first virtual Avenir in the year 2020. Avenir 2021 was conducted virtually by Indian School Al Wadi Al Kabir. In 2022, the flagship school in Oman. Indian School Bosher is all set to fly the flag higher by conducting Avenir 2022 in hybrid mode. Our impeccable planning, devoted team, unmatched resources guarantee a memorable event. The 5-day event will be held from Thursday, October 13, 2022 to Tuesday, October 18, 2022. Prominent achievers, educators, and industry experts will address the audience. Universities and educational institutes from different corners of the globe will present themselves to the audience of Avenir 2022. The event is open to all educational boards, including CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, and IB. It will provide comprehensive career guidance to students to pursue their passions at national and international universities. Avenir 2022 guarantees a wealth of information and awareness on 21st century courses, scholarships, internships, and career placements. This event will assist students in discovering their ideal future career path. Let us gather together for this 5 days of excitement, effulgence, enlightenment, exploration, and exaltation. Let's join Avenir 2022 to discover you.
Finding your passion is the key to your success. Tracy Kaufman. Good evening, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for the Mega Career Guidance event, Avenir 2022, #Discover You. Let me take you all through the listings of what to expect in today's session. The prelude of the university will be followed by the welcome address. The detailing of the courses available and the process of admission will be put forth. We shall conclude this session with a vote of thanks. Founded in 1898, Dallas Baptist University is a nationally recognized global university with competitive academic programs. DBU offers 84 degrees programs, 85 bachelor's, 36 master's, 2 doctoral, and an intensive English program. Over 4,500 students are enrolled, including over 600 international students from nearly 60 countries. DBU is located 50 minutes from downtown Dallas and DFW, or International Airport. Nationally ranked Tier 1 to 81 University, US News and World Report 2019. Ranked #1 for Elementary Teacher Preparation Program, National Council on Teaching Quality. Recognized as one of the safest campus in Texas. Named Colleges of Distinction in Texas. We have a personal teaching environment between professor and students. Faculty or student ratio 13:1. DBU housing. Several housing options. Affordable, safe and clean, easily accessible, on and off campus. Diverse, living learning opportunities, year-round housing, tobacco, drug and alcohol-free campus. International student clubs. African Student Club, ASU, Brazilian Student Club, BSA, International Chinese Fellowship, ICF, Indonesian Student Fellowship, ISF, Korean Student Association, KSA, Organization of Latin American Students, OLAS, South Asian Student Association, SASA.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Welcome to Avinia 2022, #DiscoverYou, a global career guidance program launched by Indian School Bausha under the aegis of Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of Indian School Bausha, I, Varshit,
and I, Aisha,
take the proud privilege of expressing our profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the altruistic and noble benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower His choicest blessings on His Majesty, and may this nation experience peace and everlasting prosperity.
We are happy to welcome all the students, parents, and teachers for being a part of Avenir 2022, #DiscoverYou. Thank you one and all for your benign presence here this evening. We would like to request the audience to kindly post your queries in the chat box. It is with sheer joy and great pride that I take the task of introducing our speaker today, Mr. Aaron Parish. Mr. Aaron Parish serves as a Director of International Immigration at Dallas Baptist University. Mr. Parish's expertise lies in leading his team to carefully handle the I-20s of F1 students, report accurate data to the government, and offer ourselves as a resource for international students on immigration issues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me and listen to our speaker, Mr. Aaron Parish. The platform is all yours, sir.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to just thank Avenir. I want to thank the board of directors and Indian School Boucher just to have this platform. What a privilege. I'm excited to share with you today. And today I am sitting in my office in beautiful Dallas, Texas at Dallas Baptist University. And as the Director of Immigration, I just wanted to share briefly what it would take for you to come and join us here in the United States to study. And so I would like to talk to you about what's called the F1 visa, how to get that, what do you need, and what does that mean? So I'd like to share my screen if I could. There we go. And so I've created a little bit of a map that you would follow if you wanted to come to study inside the United States. So as you're aware, I'm sure, a visa is the government's way of giving a person permission to cross the border for a particular reason. And the reason associated with the F visa is to study. So if you want to come study in the United States, you would request the F visa. So let's talk about a little bit about the steps required to get an F visa. So the first step that I've shown on my slide, the first thing you need to do is you need to get accepted to a school inside the United States. So to get accepted to a school, a university is going to need things like a copy of your graduation certificate. They're going to need copies of your academic records, unofficial, official. They're going to need essays. Sometimes the university is going to ask for an essay, maybe describing why you want to attend their university. Universities inside the US are going to ask for proof of your English ability. And at DBU, we offer a program called IEP for academics. IEP stands for Intensive English Program. And so one student, this is a great program because one student could get accepted one time into both an English program and an academic program. But students can also provide their TOEFL scores or IELTS scores to prove their English ability. To get accepted to a university, a student is going to need to give an application for admission. Some schools will even require an application fee or letters of recommendation, although at Dallas Baptist University, we do not require such things. And so the first step is to get accepted, but I want to give you some advice. I suggest that you start early. You should start at least 6 months, maybe even a year ahead of time before university starts. So look at my chart. If you look all the way to the right, if school starts in August, well, it might take you a month to arrive and get moved in and get settled, attend orientation. So that would mean that you might arrive as early as July, maybe. But before you arrive in the US, you have to attend a visa appointment, but that could take several months to schedule. So you would need to schedule that visa appointment maybe as early as May or June, but maybe a lot of times even earlier, right? And then if you're going to attend a visa appointment, you have to have what's called an I-20. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But that I-20, you might need to request that as early as April. And if you're going to get an I-20 in April, you might need to apply to the university as early as March, maybe even earlier. So start early, start at least 6 months before university starts. At DBU, we start in August, and many schools are the same. So start early and plan ahead. So after you get accepted to the university, the DSO at the university will give you what's called an I-20. An I-20 is really, it's just a piece of paper. It's just a document, and I'll show you a picture of one. But the I-20 is what gives you, what proves that you have been accepted to the university. Okay, so First, you get accepted. Second, you ask that school for an I-20. Like I said, as a summary, you have to get accepted. You need to provide a copy of your passport. You need to prove that you have the funds available, the finances available to support yourself for one academic year. So let's talk about that a little bit more. What does it mean to prove funds? Well, every school in the United States, if that is allowed to receive F1 students, every school will provide an estimate of how much it will cost to live and study inside the US during your first year. Then you have to prove that you have that much money available. And so the first thing I would say is that every school is different. Every school has different prices. Every school has different acceptable ways to prove that you have the funds, and every school has different processes. So I can tell you what we do at Dallas Baptist University that might give you some perspective. So at DBU, you must prove that you have $50,000 US available to support yourself during the first year. And you can use, at DBU, you can use almost any type of bank account. And you can even use what's called a sponsor. So let's talk about a sponsor in that third box to the right. If you personally don't have the money available to support yourself, maybe you have a family member or a supporter, maybe a couple that, that do have that finance available to support you. And you will provide proof of those finances to the university. Maybe it's a bank account statement of some sort. And once you do that, once you prove that you have the funds, once you've been accepted, and once you provide a passport, the immigration department at that school will give you a document that looks like this. This is what's called an I-20. It's a very important part of getting your F1 visa. So first you get accepted, second you get your I-20. This piece of paper is very specific to the school that you've applied to. So you cannot take this piece of paper, like if Dallas Baptist University gives you an I-20, you can't take that to study at a different university. You have to get an I-20 from that university. So this is what an I-20 looks like. So first you got accepted. Second, you requested your I-20 by proving that you have the funds available. Well, now that you have an I-20, you need to find a US embassy and schedule a visa appointment. So if you have to be careful, because there are websites that look like they will help you do that, but in reality, they want to charge you money. So you should really only use this website, travel.state.gov. That's the US website that is that belongs to the State Department in the US. And so what are the steps for scheduling your visa appointment? Well, there's all kinds of forms. The first one is called the DS-160, but it's online, so you can fill it out. And when you fill it out, you have to have the I-20 in your hand, because it's going to ask you questions about that I-20. So first, complete the form DS-160 online. Second, find an embassy, a US embassy that is near you, and do some research. Research the wait times. How long is it going to take to schedule an appointment, and how long will you have to wait to attend that appointment at that embassy? Sometimes it's better to travel further because the wait time might be less. So do some research, find a US embassy near you. And then the third step is to pay an application fee online, and this goes to the government. This does not go to the school. This is a $350 charge for the government. It goes straight to the government. And then The fourth thing that you'll do is you schedule that appointment. Then attend your interview. Don't forget to go to your interview. And then finally, after your interview, you pick up your passport with the visa inside. At your interview, some places it may take 15 minutes. Some places it may go really fast and be just 1 minute. And they maybe ask you 1 or 2 questions. So it's important that you go prepared with the proper documentation, that you use the English well, use your English language well at the interview, and just be ready to answer their questions. At DBU, after we give you an I-20, we also give you a handbook that gives you good advice on how to be prepared for your interview. So first, you've gotten accepted. Second, you requested an I-20. Now, step 3, you've scheduled and you have attended your visa interview. And if they approve your visa, that's great. That means that you get to travel to the US to study. So travel to the US. When do you get to travel to the US? What documents do you need to bring? And then let's talk about first things first once you arrive in the US. So when can I enter the US? Well, on the I-20 that we give you, there is a date called the earliest admission date. And that date tells you the first day that the US government will allow you to cross the border. So do not show up earlier than that date. However, I would also just suggest that if you're coming to the US to study, don't enter the US until you have housing, an apartment, a dormitory, a hostel, something lined up inside the US for you to live at. But certainly don't try to arrive earlier than the admission date. That's very important. So that's the earliest that you can enter. Now let's talk about what documents you need. Well, essentially, the 3 most important are your passport. Second, you need the visa, which is inside your passport. And then the third thing is you need your I-20. You need all 3 of these to travel and cross the border into the United States. So if you travel by plane, the biggest mistake that I see people make is they get these documents and they put them in their suitcase. Well, that's a big problem because when you arrive in the United States, you do not have access to your suitcase. So it is so important that you keep these documents on your person. You keep them somehow in a purse or a bag that you keep with you on the airplane. So when you stand up on the airplane to walk off the airplane, you have those documents in your hand. So those are the most important documents that you need. And then first things first, as soon as you arrive in the United States, the first thing that you need to do is check in with a DSO. DSO stands for Designated School Official. And at any school, as an F1 student, the DSO is a very important person to you. The DSO monitors your studies, monitors your enrollment, and they manage your I-20. So if you do something wrong, the DSO might have to terminate your I-20, and we'll talk about that a little more later. So the first thing that you have to do when you arrive in the United States is you have to check in with a DSO. And every school does this differently. At DBU, excuse me, at DBU, we have an incredible immigration portal that is online. So you can actually do a lot of your DSO check-in online. and then you walk into our office and tell us hello, and that's all we ask, those two simple things. But it's important to understand that this is a requirement of the US government for F1 students. Every F1 student is required to check in with the DSO. That is, so if you cross the border, and when you cross the border, you showed a Dallas Baptist University I-20, then you have to check in with the DSO at Dallas Baptist University. Now, some people may request multiple different I-20s from multiple different schools, but the only thing that matters is the I-20 that you show when you cross the border into the United States. So that's what you need to travel to the United States. So you've been accepted by a university in the US, you've requested and received your I-20, which allowed you to schedule your visa appointment, and great job, you got approved for an F visa, and you traveled to the United States and you checked in with your DSO. But now, what is required of you as an F1 student inside the United States? Well, as an F1 student, your main responsibility, the number one reason that you are in the United States, is to study. And so the US government has strict requirements on on your enrollment for the time that you're in the US on an F1 visa. So I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but once you get to university, one class equals 3 credit hours. Okay, so in university, we talk a lot about credit hours, but 3 credit hours is usually one class. There are exceptions, but for the purposes of this discussion, we'll just say that one class is 3 credit hours. The government requires an undergraduate student to enroll in at least 12 credit hours. So an undergraduate would be a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. And if you come to get an associate's or a bachelor's degree, the US government requires you to enroll in at least 12 credit hours. And of those 12 credit hours, at least 9 of them have to be in-person classes, which means that only 3 of those 12 can be an online class. So the US government has strict restrictions on online classes. So a huge portion of your study must be sitting in person in the classroom with the professor. If you fail to meet these requirements, the DSO will be required to terminate your I-20. So let's talk about that and what that means just real quickly. Termination of your I-20, it means ending your I-20. And some of the reasons that we would end your I-20 might be bad reasons. For instance, if you do not enroll in enough classes, then your I-20 will be terminated. If you do not enroll in enough in-person classes, if you fail to attend your classes, that may result in the termination of your I-20. And if you work without permission or authorization, your I-20 may be terminated. Now, there are also good reasons to terminate your I-20, such as changing your visa status. Perhaps you change from the F visa to the H visa. Well, we would terminate your I-20, but that would be a good thing. It would not be bad. So you got accepted to the university, you got your I-20, you got your visa, you traveled to the US, you enrolled in a full course load, and as a bachelor's student, you attended school for 4 years and received your degree, and now it's time to graduate. What do you do now? What are your options after you graduate? Well, number one, you can return to your home country and you can share what you have learned, share your experiences and share your education. Number two, you can apply for what's called OPT and work for 1 or maybe more years in the US practicing what you learned. And then the third option, maybe you start a new program. If you just graduated with your bachelor's degree, you could start a master's degree and study for another 2 or 3 years. And so those are your options after you graduate. And so this is a brief summary, just a short illustration of how you could come to the United States and join us here to study and experience all the rich cultural experiences that we have to offer here in the United States. And so that's my presentation. So at this time, I would love to just offer an opportunity for anyone to ask questions. And I'm sure the moderators are happy to help us with that.
That was an extraordinary and inspiring session by you, sir. Your creative and informative session enlightened us and kept each one of us engaged. Now, we would like to request our speaker, Mr. Aaron Parish, to kindly answer a few queries put forth by the audience. For this, may I now invite the moderator of the session, Mr. Saiju Augustine, to pose some questions from the audience to you. Over to the moderator.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
It was a wonderful session indeed, sir. The session has actually thrown light into how we can reach US and to secure a graduation there in US. It will surely help our viewers who are watching this program in the different social media platforms. We hope so. And sir, we have received a lot of questions in the different social media platforms, and our team have shortlisted some of them. And now let us move on to the questions one by one. So the first question, sir, you told about F1 visa, how to secure it and all. And sir, during this procedure, you told about the English proficiency. And at that time, you told like we may actually require an IELTS for securing the F1 visa. At that time, how would be the band score for that?
Oh, so let me see. I am not very versed in English proficiency. I mostly, at DBU, our admissions team, which I am not part of the admissions team, they manage that, but I do have a chart. So, and let me just say also that this is only Dallas Baptist University. Other schools may have other expectations. For the IELTS or the ELTS, we require an overall score of 6, no section lower than 5. And if you're that's for an undergraduate student. So overall score of 6 and no individual score can be less than 5.
Okay, thank you, sir. And sir, you told about the credit hours required to continue our study there. It is 12 hours. And sir, after we meeting that credit hours expectation, are we allowed to work? Can we get some money so that we will be able to pay the expenses there and also to support the fees there and all?
That's a good question. And the answer is fundamentally, the answer is no. So the F visa is not a work visa. It is a study visa. It is specifically only to study inside the US. However, there are certain situations in which an F student may work. So for example, any student that has an I-20 is allowed to work up to 20 hours on campus. So at Dallas Baptist University, we have a lot of our international students that work in the cafeteria, they work in the library, they work for the different academic departments, but the US government limits that to 20 hours per week during the fall and spring semesters. So during the summer term, and during the summer, you do not have to study. You can take a break during the summer, but during the summer, you're allowed to work more than 20 hours by the government. So there are limitations. Another option for employment is if your academic program requires an internship, or if any class that you're enrolled in requires an internship, then you can request from my team, the DSOs, what's called CPT, which stands for Curricular Practical Training. And there's a lot of rules and regulations and requirements, so I won't go through all of that right now, but that is an option for students. However, at Dallas Baptist University, and I think most schools, undergraduate students don't have a lot of internship options. That mostly applies to master's level, graduate level classes.
Okay, sir, thank you. And sir, one more thing, like actually after the completion of the graduation, can we get any chance to stay, some countries provide a stay back period, no? Like that, can we stay for maybe some months or a year to secure a job there? Such a provision is there in the F1 visa?
Good question. So again, let me say this. When you graduate, the government gives you 60 days after graduation to decide what you want to do next. But if you're inside the US on the F visa, your options are limited to the following. Number one, return home to share what you learn. Number two, work on OPT. Now, if you work on OPT, my office will help you start applying for OPT very early in the semester, maybe 3 months ahead of time, but then your OPT will not start until after the day that you graduate. So it's a little complicated, so I don't want to get too bogged down with those details. So the first option after you graduate is to go home. The second option is OPT, and we would help you get approved for that, but it's your responsibility to find an employer. But if you don't get approved for OPT, you may not work. And so the other option, the third option would be to start a new degree, maybe a master's degree, maybe transfer to a different school and start a master's degree. So those are really your only three options. But you have 60 days to make a decision, and then and there's other rules as to how those dates line up. Your OPT has to start within 60 days of graduating. So yeah, there's a lot of rules, but my team at Dallas Baptist University, my team will help you weed through all that and keep all the regulations.
Okay, sir, thank you. One final question. So we would like to know about the scholarships offered by DBU as well.
Sure. So at Dallas Baptist University, our admissions team is very well educated about what scholarships are available to our students. I'm not the most knowledgeable person at Dallas Baptist University, but reach out to your recruiter. We saw earlier that your recruiter would be Sanjay, and I think his email address was provided in the presentation. You can just reach out to him, or you can email sasia@dbu.edu. That's sasia@dbu.edu, and ask questions about scholarships. The one that I do know that we offer is called the Hope and Future Scholarship. So that is a possibility, but unfortunately, I don't really know all the requirements and the process for requesting that scholarship.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the insightful answers. I hope that this will surely help those students who actually wish to pursue their studies, higher education in the US. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very
Over to
welcome.
the
Thank you
MCs.
for having me.
Thank you, sir, for all your support and guidance given to the large audience by attending to their concerns so patiently during the course of the discussion.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You should definitely come to DBU. You will thoroughly enjoy your experience here. I've been able to learn so much about the American culture and so much about international cultures as well. And DBU is the one place that you can do both. You can really just learn about the whole world, and that's been amazing to me.
When we are here, we are so far from family, but we are never without family, because there's a new people that God put in our lives just to care about us.
Every day, DBU graduates live out their God-given callings and lifelong dreams across the world. From the moment a student sets foot on campus, our faculty and staff equip students with the right skills and knowledge needed to be successful in business and in life. Find your path, pursue your calling, start your journey today at Dallas Baptist University.
The contact information of DBU is shared in the slide for further details about the admission. Dr. Sanjay Purushothan, email spurushoothan@dbu.edu, www.dbu.edu/international. The link to the feedback form has been shared in the chat box. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate.
As we draw to the end of this enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose the vote of thanks. We express our heartfelt thanks to the spokesperson, Mr. Aaron Parish, for sharing us details and giving us an overview of the career guidance. Thank you, sir. Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Chairman Dr. Shivakumar Manikam and the members on the Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. Our heartfelt thanks to the President, Mr. Ajayan Poyara, and the members of the Indian School Bausha School Management Committee and the Principal of the school, Dr. Bhavesh Balirav. We request the participants to kindly fill the feedback form posted in the chat window. Heartfelt thanks to our Platinum sponsor, Jane deemed to be University, Gold sponsor, De Montfort University, Silver sponsor, Dallas Baptist University, USA, Grey Matters, SP Jain School of Global Management, Sri Ramachandra Institute of Higher Education and Research, and bronze sponsors, Middle East College and SP Jain School of Global Management, digital marketing partner, Spectrum and Trefoil, media partner, The Arabian Stories, and valued donor, powered by our support sponsors. Over to the video.
An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you to the ISB team for making Avenir 2022 possible. Thank you to each of the teachers, students, and parents for being a part of the session.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. With these uplifting words, I, Varshit,
And I, Aisha,
wish you all a glorious day ahead. Gentle reminder to fill the feedback form. Every attendee who submits the feedback form will receive a digital certificate. Stay tuned and stay safe.